Congratulations, competitor. You have been selected to participate in Deathmatch Island. Winning will mean fame, freedom, and unlimited wealth. You may be experiencing some memory loss. This is normal following the selection and recruitment process. It is important that you do not panic. Welcome to Bastard Quest. I am your game bastard for this game, Austin.
I am Kyle, the bastard player.
I'm Todd.
Corey.
I'm very confused.
That is good. Confusion will give you an upper hand. This is Deathmatch Island by Tim Denis, and it's a stylized blend of Squid Game, Severance, and Lost. The game structure is based on the Paragon system by Sean Nittmeyer and John Harper. I've been really excited to play this game for a fucking long time.
Yeah, we've had it for a while.
And similar in tone, it seems like to Paranoia in some ways that we just played.
Yeah, and that's not on purpose. You made computer this omnipresent entity, and production is much the same way in this game. So this game's from Evil Hat, just like Blades in the Dark. And like most games published under Evil Hat, it's not only beautifully designed, but it is very elaborately structured.
There's a lot of similarities between this game and Blades in the Dark as well.
Yeah. Now, at first glance, it might seem like a heavily structured game would feel too linear or less creative, but if you listen to our Blades in the Dark adventures, you can see it's actually a lot of fun to find creative ways to role play within that box instead of working on a blank page. And this one has something incredibly unique that's going to help us, I think, even lean into character creation a lot more than what you heard in the Session Zero if you're a Patreon member. So the overview is this. Deathmatch Island is a fast-paced RPG about a deadly game show on a chain of mysterious islands. The competitors don't know how they got there, and armed with only their hazy memories and matching uniforms, they will compete in challenges to satisfy the demands of production. Throughout a season of Deathmatch Island, the competitors will progress through the islands, forced to risk their lives in a deadly series of games until only a handful are left alive. So that's the setup, and we've already created our characters. Very much like Paranoia also, we've only been given kind of a superficial overview of the rules. Some of the rules for different types of encounters or different phases of play, the guys will learn as we hit them. But in general, here's the structured cycle of play as they traverse each of the islands. There's phase 1, which is where the competitors arrive on and explore the island and move from node to node on the map, resolving contests and acquiring resources and followers. The goal for that is to make allies, identify enemies, acquire equipment, maybe learn a little about what's going on behind the curtain. And so that's where a lot of the primary role play is going to be. Then there's phase 2, where all competitors will be pitted against one another in a battle royale. Now, in this phase, there are no teams. You guys got randomly paired together by production as a team, but in phase 2, that means jack shit. But you can still choose to kind of band together to survive to the next island. Only half of the competitors on an island will survive to progress to the next. And then between islands, there's kind of what listeners might know as a downtime period. Just like between heists and Blades in the Dark, there's pretty much a time to kind of sum up everything that happened. You'll go over what you gained, and you'll figure out how to advance your characters.
Also, between islands, listeners might recognize water.
So in this case, competitors who survive make the voyage to the next island, where they'll have time to debrief, share theories about what's going on, about what Deathmatch Island actually is, and rest, as well as engaging in trust-building exercises, which are going to trigger flashbacks to their life before the game began. Because in character creation, things are pretty surface level. We know a little bit about who our characters are and what they're capable of, but we really don't know anything about their background, and this will be the time when the players can kind of lean into that and start fleshing out who they were before the game, depending on what their motivation is. And the final stage is the end game, the ultimate choice. Will the competitors decide to play to win, TM, and battle amongst themselves, or break the game and band together to fight against production? When we tell you play to win, TM, we have your best interests at heart. Please follow all official advice. We only want to see you thrive. So contests and other challenges are how a lot of the storytelling plays out. I talked about in phase 1 how you're going to move from node to node on the map. There's a finite list of locations that you can move through.
And I assume we probably don't have access to the map. We're discovering the island as we go.
So in normal play, in like a typical tabletop session, yes, the production player actually would give you guys a map to look at. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually make you guys traverse through and discover places as you go along.
Okay.
Because these nodes are only connected in certain paths. It's not like you can move from any node to any other node. There's kind of a web of how you're going to traverse through stuff. And I also want to make sure that you guys hit a good variety of different location types. So I'll basically give you choices for how you want to proceed, and that will decide which nodes are kind of available to you.
Okay, fine.
So contests and other challenges are decided by building dice pools around a competitor's capabilities. Social game is your social bonds and likability. Snake mode for lying, sneaking, and betraying. Challenge beast is basically your physical capability, athletic and competitive prowess. Deathmatch measures your experience with live combat, tactics, and strategy. And then they've got a fifth capability just called redacted, which is their ability to fight against the game, meaning what kind of skill they've got when it comes to breaking into restricted areas, breaking the rules of the game, or working against production. Note, polyhedral random number generators can behave erratically on our islands due to magnetic interference from the field. But never blame luck. Own your failures.
All right, Dave Ramsey.
It's your fault you're poor. So it's important to remember in this game that these collective die rolls aren't just around a single action. These are essentially laying out how each node encounter plays out as a whole scene. I gave them an example in session 0 that I'll give to you all in a more developed sense. If you come upon let's say an abandoned subdivision, and there are lots of individual neutral competitors also running around, there's also a group that's trying to coerce people to join their alliance, moving through in an armored car, let's say. And you've kind of got a choice of whether you want to try and recruit other competitors to your team, fight against that enemy alliance, or maybe you just want to sneak through the houses and try to gather up as many resources as you can. It's entirely up to you guys what you want to do, what you want your approach to be, and how successful you are at rolling your dice will, of course, decide how that plays out. But it's not just going to play out a single action. It may be the entirety of that encounter. Corey might roll to sneak through some houses and gather resources. Kyle and Todd might work together trying to recruit a few more allies to their team. That may encompass not only you collecting resources, you may get into a fight with the alliance who are trying to recruit the same characters, and you may have to trigger an escape, all in that one die roll. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Got it.
Yes.
So this is extremely conceptual, and we'll be doing a lot of collaborating in order to kind of build the outcome of scene and what the narrative is, depending on who succeeds and who takes fatigues or injuries. If competitors suffer enough fatigue and injuries, they will die. They have 2 key resources that will help them survive. Acquisitions that they find on the island, and the trust that they build with each other. So acquisitions are essentially going to be any equipment that you find on the island. Most of that's going to come down to things like weapons and survival gear, but it also may be redacted equipment, which kind of goes along with your skill. You might find random keys. You might find absurd-looking props that have nothing to do with survival, but have a lot to do with how the game is run. So participating in contests is the best way for competitors to gain followers. So you'll learn more about this as you play, but one thing's for certain. As you gain popularity, you will advance your name, even going so far as to earn yourself a nickname.
Yeah, too bad you're GM in this one.
Yeah, this is my favorite game.
Is there random tables for nicknames?
There are.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sweet.
Lots of random tables, not only in character creation, but Austin was explaining to us off the air how much random tables he gives to the GM as well.
Yeah, so there are random tables to kind of help me assemble the persona and the tone of production itself. Like I have a few different tables for personifying the host who speaks all of these different isms and encouragement to the players as they make their way across the island. Perform with flair and bring the emotion, competitor. Get those followers smashing like and subscribe. You're more than just a person. You are a brand. So just real quick, our adventure will be making use of the one-shot mode rules, which is going to kind of truncate the story and make it a little more fitting for our format. If this first season of the game is a success, we'll return to the game at some point and take on a full-length season, possibly even under New Game Plus mode.
It all depends on if we're picked up by the network.
Yeah.
Note, nobody returns to Deathmatch Island. Every season is unique. Any reports to the contrary are rumor and hearsay. Report any individual spreading this dangerous disinformation to Redacted immediately.
They said the same shit about the Hunger Games, and she went back like so many times.
So many.
All right, so we'll go through the specifics of each stage as we get to them. For those that listen to us bumble our way through Paranoia, this will be a little bit similar. Island 1, the Cradle. You wake up to the smell of diesel fuel, salt water, and tar. You're on a small fishing boat whose two-stroke outboard motor seems to be piloting automatically through the rolling gray sea toward an approaching island. You don't remember how long you've been on this boat or how you got here. You don't remember much at all now that you think about it. All three of you are wearing matching uniforms and wristwatches. All you have on your person is a letter neatly folded in the shirt pocket of your matching plum polo shirts and shorts. We rolled randomly for uniforms, by the way.
I quite like them.
Yeah, strikes fear
Yeah, of a certain type.
to anybody on the pickleball court.
Absolutely.
When you open up the letter, it reads, "Congratulations! You have been selected to participate in Deathmatch Island. Look around you. These fellow competitors are your team. You might like to try some icebreakers. Trust and good teamwork are crucial to victory. When you reach the island, Phase 1 will begin. You will explore the island, complete challenges, acquire resources, and meet other contestants. Alliances will be formed, and threats will be eliminated. When the clock runs out, a klaxon will sound 3 times. This signals Phase 2, the Battle Royale. Only half the remaining competitors will survive to progress to Island 2. Good luck, competitor. Think fast, gain followers, and play to win. TM."
So are we as characters familiar with Deathmatch Island?
It's not clear.
Okay.
Some of you might be, some of you might not.
Okay.
The device you thought was a watch on your wrist beeps once and prints out a small ticker tape slip of paper. 0 followers. So you'll note on your character sheet there are notches for followers. And if I'm not mistaken, each one of those corresponds to 10,000 followers.
Correct.
And so success in contests and stuff will help you build those, but you'll see more of their ramifications as we go along. Now it's time to get to know your team. Now, in the one-shot mode rules of the game, we're going to take on some team building up front instead of just between islands, because otherwise you'd only get to do this once. And I'm going to set you guys up with a little bit of advancement right off the bat, just so that you've got some trust to play with. Currently, the players all have 2 trust between one another, and they'll be able to spend that to be bolstered in their efforts as they take on contests and challenges. So first of all, just introduce yourselves, and this will be a good time to introduce yourselves to the listeners. So Corey, you want to go first?
Okay. And I'm introducing myself to them as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen, my name is Morgan Castle. I am a nuclear engineer. You may have noticed my piercing eyes, my willowy build, my neat hair, and my chewed fingernails. I got worms. So another thing...
Good to know, I suppose.
There wouldn't be a Corey character without some kind of frightening...
Some kind of gastrointestinal issue.
Terrible, terrible malady.
Yeah.
So another thing about our characters that won't come up in like actual gameplay, but in character creation, we rolled for our initial motivations, which only Austin and us individually know.
Yeah.
Another kind of similar thing to like Paranoia.
Yeah. And one of the major reasons why it's unclear generally as to whether or not you guys already know what this is.
My motivation was latex allergy.
Weird.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was supposed to send that to my doctor. Okay, Todd?
My name, Sebastian Usuro. I am former model. Perhaps you have noticed my physique, my striking blonde locks, along with my beautiful eyes. I apologize about the face. I used to be model, like I said, but was hit in face by goose. So now I own ice cream shop where I scoop cones. Name of shop is Lick Me.
Okay.
Which coincidentally was the name of the last book talk cover he was on.
I'm very frightened and confused about why I'm here.
Well, nice to meet you. My name is Lincoln Hoffman. I worked at the tire plant. I thought that I was going on British television show Love Island. And I believe that there was some sort of mistake with my travel agent. I'm never going to trust my brother-in-law again. So Lincoln has a very practical haircut for someone that works in a factory at a tire plant. It's very short.
High and tight.
Yeah.
You don't want long hair to get caught in the tire.
Yeah, it's a sinewy
Gears.
build, some watery eyes, maybe some hay fever from the island, and twitch every now and then on account of when he got caught in the press last year. Just has not quite recovered.
Tire press.
Yeah, but you guys seem like nice fellas, and I feel like this is like Love Island probably, and it's just poorly marketed. But we're gonna be like, it's probably like Friendship Island.
The hairs is like look at it. It's flowing in the wind. And you may ask yourself, why for scoop ice cream with such long hair? I use hair net, but I have to use fisherman size because there's so much hair.
Man, that's interesting. I didn't even know there was fisherman-sized hairnet. I just figured it'd be
No, fishing net.
Oh, you do have a bright coif.
A walkie-talkie squawks to life in a corner of the boat.
Oh, Jiminy Cricket. That startled me. So Lincoln grabs the walkie-talkie.
And a message comes through. Good morning, competitors. Take some time to get to know each other, as you have been assigned to a team. You may speak freely about what you think is going on. Production accepts that theorizing is a normal part of the competitor experience. We are very calm and relaxed about it. We will not be discussing it further. The virtues of Deathmatch Island give meaning to your existence and actions, and form an essential part of production's core identity. Learn and live them. Take some time to get to know each other and build trust amongst yourselves. You will not have to shatter this trust later on. So, the first thing that you'll be able to do as you're kind of traveling toward this first island is exchange theories about what's going on. Now, Kyle's kind of given us a little bit of a springboard to jump off of anyway. There are 4 different types of theories as to what competitors think is going on and what Deathmatch Island actually is. The first is political project. Any theory that points toward the game being a secret government conspiracy, perhaps a military program or some intelligence agency scheme, or tied up with the Illuminati. That counts as a political project. Entertainment, I think this counts what you were saying, Kyle. Theories indicate that this is all about entertainment and revenue, reality television, entertainment for the mega wealthy, or a new form of subscriber-based streaming content. The third type of theory is a big experiment. Any theory that points toward psychological research, academic program gone wrong, or even an investigation into something more esoteric. And then finally, weird. Theories of the strange, improbable, or supernatural. What if your memories from before Deathmatch Island are false? What if this is all the work of some incomprehensible extraterrestrial intelligence? What if your memories are implanted and you're actually just clones, created to compete in the game? Maybe time travel's involved. Who fucking knows?
It is the Shadow Men from Biblo Prime. I've seen this before.
Oh, yeah, man. Them shadow people. I was listening to George Norrie one night, and there was a guy on there, Ray Caruth, talking about shadow people. And they are just out of the corner of your eye, but they watch you and stuff.
But you can smell the lilacs
I guess,
when they are near, yes.
Sure. That sounds like
Probably.
a reason. Yeah.
I am not haunted by these people of shadows. All of mine are goose.
Well, I mean, I
I'm
think
not sure which theory that falls under.
I think shadow people could be like a general term. I mean, some of them could be geese.
No, goose not people.
They have
This is offensive.
it's true. They have no soul.
Oh, wow. I mean, I don't know a ton about this conspiracy stuff, but I mean, my thought was like it's.
I've read.
Did you guys get Do you guys get the same travel agent?
I typically work by myself at the nuclear plant. I've never teamed. I'm now worried that I forgot to turn it off before I left, which could spell disaster for the planet.
All right.
When Goose smashed into my face on the roller coaster, Goose died, and now all Goose want revenge. So I believe Goose sent me here, probably injected me with some sort of goose tranquilizers.
Now I wonder if I've ever wronged a goose.
I've killed a lot of geese.
Yeah,
I go goose hunting every year.
I've read about this, yes.
Yeah, and they never seek revenge.
Well, man, they ain't going to say much to the business end of a Remington. I mean, I'm not telling you how to live your life, but maybe if you had a shotgun on that roller coaster, you'd still be a supermodel. Your face is odd.
Yes, it's sideways.
I thought, high velocity goose.
I just picture it knocked his face to the side of his head where his ear should be.
There's just a lot of empty real estate.
Yeah.
They had to stretch the skin back over.
Yeah.
Look, first man to call me Picasso gets killed.
What if the shooting at the goose was what spooked them towards the roller coaster park?
Oh, I never thought about.
Oh, we can't hunt around amusement parks anymore.
Oh.
No.
Not since the incident.
Not since the incident.
At least wise, not when the people are there.
No. Now, you go out at night and you got a blind, sure.
I feel like I might have turned up the juice to the nuclear-powered roller coaster a bit too high that day.
Wow.
All right, so the fun thing about theory crafting is that it puts...
Oh, is it fun? I haven't had any fun talking about it so far.
It puts different resources at my disposal. So I put down notches for every type of theory on the production sheet. That enables me to actually pull different plot devices from that, let's call it genre of world building.
Yeah.
So there's a little aspect of Brindlewood Bay here where there's no specific answer that has to be unlocked that's been pre-written. It's kind of based on the theories that you guys put forth and the ideas that you all come up with.
Okay.
And that decides kind of what we're going to wind up dealing with.
Okay, then it's shadow geese. I mean, it makes sense to me.
All right. And for the team building exercise, the way team building works...
I'm not catching Kyle and Todd if they fall backwards. I'm just saying.
We'll both fall back at the same time. And it's just up to you, Corey.
God damn it.
That's how you team build. Is whichever one you actually catch, that's the only...
That's the one you trust.
All right. So each one of you are going to get to ask someone else a question from this trust building questionnaire. I've got this printed off.
Okay.
So for the trust building exercise, there's an official Deathmatch Island trust building questionnaire. It's on official letterhead and everything. So each one of you can ask any of the other characters one question from that list.
Okay.
And that will prompt a flashback, essentially. So, Kyle, much like you've already kind of given us a little bit, and Todd, you've given us a little bit of your your background. These questions are going to help us flesh out our characters just a little bit. And each side of that conversation, the one who asked the question and the one who answered it, will mark a trust with each other. So, Corey, you go first.
Okay. Well, as I said at work, I often get a little overzealous with powering the nuclear roller coasters and water slides.
Water slides.
Man, that sounds just fundamentally unsafe.
Well, tell me, friend Lincoln. Tell me about a conflict you faced at work and how you dealt with it.
Well, one might expect in a tire plant with a lot of jokers that there's the occasional practical joke that can get out of hand. So the last time that we had something go off kilter was when Johnny Monahan threw an entire case of Cokes into the rendering furnace. And, of course, the sodium bicarbonate in that caused liquid hot metal to fly across the plant. And, well, 4 people died. But, I mean, in retrospect, after discussions with the union rep, we just all chucked it up to a little boyish indecision, bad decision-making, and he had 2 weeks at home.
Paid?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
That reminded me, I'd lick me my ice cream cone store. One time, my friend Jurgen came in and he asked for chocolate, and I gave him coffee.
Okay. Similar.
So for each one of these flashbacks, the production player, that's me, adds a detail that only the camera sees. What Lincoln was unaware of was the black box carried out of the factory after closing hours by the men in black suits, containing the remnants of an exploded pipe bomb with orange end caps and the letters D-I-C.
Now, mechanically, do I put a mark near Morgan's name, or does he put a mark on his sheet by mine?
Both.
Or both? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When you guys get to have an exchange and when you get to flesh out your character because of it, you each add a point of trust with each other.
My question for Morgan Morgan, you look at me. You see, strong man. I'm strong, workout. Once again, sorry about face, but body is beautiful, no? So I ask, what is your greatest strength? And tell me about time you relied on strength with willowy boy body.
Well, sometimes I think I'm a bit of an overachiever. Like that time I juiced up the cyclotron so much, when they opened it, the fairgoers were flattened.
Morgan was unaware of the man in orange coveralls making adjustments to all of the fair rides the night before. All right? And Kyle, it's your turn to ask a question.
Okay.
It is my turn for ask question. Ask me, please. I'm very excited.
Okay, man. I mean, it's going to be a little weird, but this reminds me of the time I was out on my Peepaw's farm and peed on an electric fence, and I was shocked. I mean, like, this whole experience is shocking. There been any other time in your life that even compares to the shock of this? You know, the electric fence thing, you know, you just rewind on that. Like, it don't have to be like peeing on something.
So question is for me, what have I peed on or what is shocking?
No, sorry, just the shock.
Or what,
just the shock.
What would you pee on?
I feel bad about that.
I would
analogy.
definitely pee on goose.
Yes, I have.
It's really more of the shock thing, but
I tell you, few things in life more shocking than hitting face by goose on roller coaster. It just make me hate the goose. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think... I just want to be clear how deep hatred for goose goes. I watch Top Gun and giggle and applaud when goose dies.
you know what? That's on me. I should have seen that coming. I really should have. Let's just go with your P answer, actually, in retrospect.
Just for our listeners, is it true that if your friend gets hit in the face by a goose, you're supposed to pee on it?
That's only if the
Wait,
goose
pee on
is...
the goose or pee on the face?
Yep.
That's only if the goose is also carrying a jellyfish
Got
in
it.
its flippers. They do that.
Okay.
They'll fling them into crowds.
It's a new epidemic.
Yeah.
It's a real problem in Saskatchewan.
Animal terrorism.
Yeah.
Oh, but also there was one time at Lick Me ice cream store, which I own and scoop for. Mother and child come in, and I see the way by they walk in and the way that they are dressed, I am like, oh, they are going to want a raspberry ripple, and they order vanilla. I was shocked.
Okay.
Richard Davidson, the reporter who later went missing after reporting on the bizarre incident of the goose face interception on the roller coaster at the local fair, was last known to have made a phone call asking about the strange biological makeup of the goose and the barcode stamp on its ass. All right, so in addition to the trust that you build with each other, each of you can make a note of an advantage. Advantages are any relevant background to your character or any relevant characteristics that are relevant to a contest. So, Todd, you would note down hidden face by goose.
Yes? Can take punch, yes.
Yes. And so, if you ever encountered local wildlife on the island, let's say, you might be particularly vengeful. And so you might get an extra D6 to a challenge that involves killing a lot of the wildlife.
Does he have to take that, or can we make up our own?
No, you'll essentially make up how it's relevant to a contest.
Okay. So Todd conceivably could take one to the face.
Yeah.
Actually, yes, I can. I very good at taking punch. After goose hit in face, it totally numb.
That's totally valid.
Okay.
Can't feel my face when I'm with goose.
So do we make up what our advantage is called, essentially?
You'll make up basically just a shorthand note for whatever that flashback might be. Like Todd's is hidden face by goose. Corey
I've killed before, and I'll do it again.
accidentally killed people at the fair.
Yes,
Kyle,
it was an accident. Yes, it was an accident. Yes, correct. Shit.
Kyle, yours is kind of similar, but maybe practical joker.
Okay.
All right, and that's the team building exercises.
I've never felt closer with anyone in my life.
Oh,
That
man.
is easy to believe.
We are a real team now.
Go.
We have Rocky Road ahead of us.
We need
Get it? Rocky Road is ice cream.
You're almost at the island now. A steep island cloaked in thick green vegetation dominates the view. You see some signs of habitation, concrete jetties to dock your boat, a seaside village over on one end of the island, a small industrial port, a radio tower up in the distance, and a lighthouse.
A seagull hits Sebastian in the knees. Just a fucking magnet for these things.
It's time for your first decision as an alliance. Where will you land?
Sebastian steps out of the island. It's like a flurry of seagulls, like Saving Private Ryan.
Just the beginning of the boat. All right, so you've got 3 options as beginner players for where you can land on Island 1. There is a small fishing village over on the most easterly side of the island. There's an industrial port straight ahead of you. Off to the west, there is a long peninsula at the end of which is a lighthouse. So where would you guys like to dock your boat?
I think we should avoid the fishing village. It attracts bird.
Well, I agree for very different reasons. I figure most new players will be disoriented and trying to figure out what's going on, and so they'll likely go to the fishing village, not realizing that this is a deathmatch friendship island, and we need to stick together and brutally murder anybody else we come across.
Yes.
So my vote is the industrial port, because I think people will avoid it, but there might be good weapons that we could find there.
Yes, nuclear weapons.
I don't know about that.
Seems
Seems kind of a lot.
I'll kill.
I agree with Lincoln. We need weapons.
Yeah, and the lighthouse is just going to make us expose targets. I've played Call of Duty.
Plum buddies go.
I like plum partners.
Plum pals?
Plum pals. Hell yeah, man.
Plum pals, yes, we are plum pals, and we say goose die.
Goose die is our war cry. Yes.
I mean, if that's what you guys want, I mean, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so we angle our boat. Can we do that? Can we control it?
Yeah, you can take control of the 2-stroke outboard motor and begin to kind of slowly make your way toward one of the concrete jetties sticking out of the industrial port.
So Austin Lincoln is controlling the outboard motor. He's going to try to get some more speed from it.
Okay.
He's got experience with machines.
That's fine.
Sebastian does the Captain Morgan pose at the front of the boat and takes his plum polo and rips the buttons off and rips it halfway down his shirt.
See.
Yeah.
And Morgan stands in front of Sebastian with his arms outstretched like Titanic.
You are king of world, Morgan.
Yes, I don't go outside very often.
There's a small bump as the boat knocks against the concrete jetty of the industrial port and you step off. Everything's quiet for a moment, and you look up and you see a tall telephone pole on top of which is an old-fashioned tube TV with 2 loudspeakers underneath it. Looking across the distance, you can see that the island is literally littered with these TVs on poles. Right now, the snowy static sputters to life, and then you see a mid-shot on a man in a black suit with an orange tie and a full-face gas mask with orange eye lenses. And he just says, "Invest in your dreams. Play to win." Not long after which, an explosion rocks your perception of the entire industrial port, and you realize that the quiet port that you landed upon was only quiet while people were gathering their wits and reloading. The place is in chaos. Explosions, gunshots, competitors running and hiding. A man is standing up on a concrete pillbox, thundering commands through a megaphone in the distance. You can see a small group of about 4 people huddled together in a small shelter at the end of the concrete jetty that you're on. So here's what's happening. The man at the highest point on the industrial port, which is essentially this giant brutalist concrete structure, is wearing the ragged remains of what looks like a police officer's bulletproof vest, and he has on a helmet like the motorcyclist cops have. He kind of looks like the T-1000 from Terminator 2.
Oh.
He has a mustache and a megaphone. He's got a couple of tough-looking dudes on either side of him, and he's bellowing instructions at some of the other competitors who are down a level below, all of which are wearing black armbands with makeshift paper badges on them. And he's shouting instructions. "Find the stragglers! Recruit any that will sit and listen! Kill the others!" There are people all over the place who are either dragging competitors up to the group of people where he's standing or running free trying to escape into the wilderness behind the industrial port. And the only people you can see nearby are this small group of 4 to 5 people who are actually successfully hiding and haven't been discovered so far in this little cluster of lifeboats that are on the edge of the water.
Lincoln, I hate to tell this, but I don't think this island made for friendship.
Maybe this is just the first challenge to see how deep the friendship goes. And maybe it's about testing our friendship. All these other people could be geese wearing like a human suit.
Yes, it's the geese mech suit.
Yeah.
You both make excellent point.
Yes.
Before you can decide further, you hear the megaphone voice call out even louder. You three, the Plum Boys.
Plum pals.
Yes, we are pals, not boys.
Whatever. Who is it that you serve?
Christ.
I serve ice cream with a scoop.
It's true.
I am Abthorpe, the police officer. This is my vast alliance. This is my island. We're the ones that will be continuing to Island 2. You can either continue with us or you can die.
Are you Goose?
What?
Are you Goose pretending to be person?
Inside of a biomechanical mech suit created by goose overlords from the shadowy Biblo Prime. Duh.
Abthorpe looks over at one of his makeshift lieutenants who just shrugs like, I don't know.
Lincoln is doing the exact same thing. He's just so disoriented.
You just arrived here, so you can still make a choice. You can either join our alliance, or you can hunt down the dissenters who have spread word against us across the island. Have you heard of Quincy?
Quince is kind of duck.
You notice the small group of people motioning to you from behind the boats like, no, frantically just shaking their heads and waving their arms at you like, you don't see us.
I do not. I have not seen anything.
Is option 3 get back on the boat and go home?
The TV above you sputters to life once more. No!
Now,
Well, who the hell's Quincy?
Quincy is a veterinarian.
what kind of veterinarian? Does
Yeah.
she perhaps specialize in the winged demons known as geese?
You literally see a woman's face poke out of that little crowd of 4 to 5 people saying, I hate geese.
Oh, cool.
So how close are we to Officer Abthorpe?
Well, the industrial port is in kind of 3 levels. There are the concrete jetties that are out over the water. And then there's a level up, which looks like kind of a general area for warehouse storage and things like that.
Okay.
And that area is overlooked by 3 concrete structures. Very simple. I don't want you to think these are actual buildings or anything. They're basically big concrete overhangs that just provide a little bit more shelter and provide more storage.
I see.
Abthorpe is standing on the center one of those structures.
And he doesn't have a gun or anything.
Well, you can see that he still has a gun in a leg holster at his side. And most of the people around him are also packing at least melee weapons, if not pistols or assault rifles.
How many people in his party?
You would estimate it to be, as far as just right here, you don't know how many might work for him across the island. You would estimate right here there are about 15 people.
Okay, I still outnumbered. I say we join up and then perhaps betray.
Yeah.
Join and betray. I
So
like
we-
that.
I told you guys we should have gone to the fish village.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you know what? Never mind. So we do like a football. Here's the deal. There's no more sincere form of friendship than treachery.
No.
So we join up, and once we get some weapons,
We join up, betray, take weapons, and then perhaps join up with Quincy, who goose hater.
if Quincy hates geese, sure, but yeah.
Also, I would like to be able to climb to top of pole with television and turn on Outdoorsman with Buck Neely. He kills goose every week.
Really?
Lincoln turns around. All right, man, we'll join you.
Yeah, okay.
We'll start walking towards
Yeah.
this guy, ignoring those people that are hiding.
Okay. So your approach is going to be to make peace for the moment.
Yes.
Sure.
Then what? What's your escape plan out of here?
Well, I assume he's going to give us some info about Quincy and where she can be found. So we'll just carry off in that direction, and where we go from there, I don't know.
Yeah, I think our broad plan is to play along, get weapons, and then betray.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Because I'm thinking if we convince him that we are part of his team, perhaps we volunteer to go hunt for Quincy so he'll give us weapons. And then once we find Quincy, then we can start a rebellion against him.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we can be killing people. They're going to be killing people. Everybody's going to be killing people.
Yep.
Numbers are going to get thinned.
Here's the situation. You're standing on the concrete jetty. You're not surrounded by hostiles.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people around. They're kind of running in multiple directions trying to catch people.
Yes. You see the group that is huddled by the lifeboats on your level. There are pathways around the complex. You can tell that they lead out into the jungle. I want you to think more holistically in terms of what you want your plan to be. What Kyle said is very much apropos. If the plan is to deceive, steal weapons, and escape, that's a logical plan of action. But don't make the mistake of thinking at the end of your die roll and at the end of us narrating all the actions that take place, you won't be here anymore. You will have taken your leave from the industrial port. So think of it in terms of a full plan as far as what your immediate action will be, what your motivation will be, and what your escape plan is going to be.
Okay, I mean, motivation is ultimately betrayal.
Yeah.
Immediately, we're going to try to get some weapons and supplies from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the direction we're going to head is the way he tells us Quincy is.
Yep.
Or he believes Quincy is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how about this? Since we know that Sebastian, his face is like smushed over to the side, so if he's looking like right ahead, you can see like his left eye if you're behind him, and he like gives Quincy a wink, like, watch these.
Okay. All right. So you're basically gambling on the notion that he doesn't already know that Quincy and her group are kind of isolated here in the port.
Sure.
Well, we'll just play dumb. We don't know anybody. We just arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then here's going to be my recommendation. I'm not going to always give a prescribed layout for making the rolls. You guys can do that. And you can feel free to make changes to what I recommend here now. But just since this is the first one, we're still kind of getting used to these mechanics. Here's what I'll suggest. At least one of you will need to roll snake mode for the deception. It will probably be handy if one of you can also use social game to try and, make peace.
Sebastian is the social one.
Yeah, with Abthorpe and the Alliance. And it probably wouldn't be bad to have somebody on either Deathmatch or Challenge Beast for either physical or combat confrontation that might come about if you guys fail to deceive him or fail to make friends with him.
Okay.
Something like that.
So the way our stats work in this is our occupation is what gave us a boost in certain areas. So social game, snake mode, challenge beast, deathmatch. All of them are a D6 except for the one we got a bonus for.
Yeah.
So mine is in snake mode. Watch me slither.
Okay, so you'll be kind of rolling with snake mode. You'll have other stuff to kind of build that dice pool up in a minute. Todd,
Okay.
you mentioned you're going to try social game.
Correct.
Kyle, what do you want to do?
I'm just going to hang back, make friends, and if anybody catches on, I'm going to football tackle them off the pier, ideally, into the water, so we can run.
All right, so you're going to focus on your occupational skill, which is Challenge Beast.
Sure.
Okay? So here's the way contests work. The first thing I'm going to do is put my dice pool together, and I'm going to roll to determine what your target number is.
Okay.
And that'll actually determine whether you're actually successful or not. Now, there are still levels of success in ascending order based on your die rolls. So first things first is for me to gather my dice pool, and I'll explain to you how that works. So this plot that you've come up with, this plan of action, is essentially against Abthorpe and his, what he calls the Vast Alliance, which is the group of competitors that he has gained to his side. NPCs don't build dice pools the same way you do. I use the traits of all the involved NPCs, any relevant traits, then add that to the danger level of the location you are currently at. The danger level for this island is a standard 4. What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to list off how I'm building my pool here. So I get a D8 for Abthorpe's name and occupation as a police officer. He also has the traits aggressive and loud. I'm not going to use both of those. This is still the first challenge of the game. So I'm just going to use loud. And I'm going to use a D10 for his Vast Alliance because you're not only working against him, you're working against his team. And so I'm going to roll this D8, this D6, and this D10. Whatever the highest number is, that's what gets added to the danger level of the location, and that's what will decide the target number. All right, so I rolled an 8 on the D8. So that means the total target number is a 12.
Okay.
What does that mean for us?
That means that in order for you to be successful, you'll have to roll at least that. You are going to have a much more significant dice pool from which to pull results.
So we have more dice than our base die that we're using for our skills.
Yes. So you're not pulling the single highest. You are summing up the 2 highest results that you get.
Okay, gotcha.
Plus any D4 from an acquisition you might have. Now, you don't have acquisitions yet, so those aren't going to come into play here. But you are adding the 2 highest results that you get from a pretty significant pool of dice. So first of all, you have your name and occupation. Now, you guys don't have a dice value associated with your name yet because you haven't gained any followers. But you do have a D6 for your occupation.
Okay.
And then pull a die for your capability.
So we're all essentially rolling a D8 and a D6 so far.
Yeah, because you're all rolling your occupational capability, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Yes.
Then comes any advantage die. Now, this comes from any of the advantages you might have marked down that you feel are relevant. So if you're going to mark one of the, if you're going to try to use one of those, let me know and make your case.
Okay. Now, with the advantages, can we use them more than once? There's a checkbox next to it.
Once you've used an advantage, it goes away.
Gotcha.
My advantage is being really good at getting hit in the face.
Right.
So I'm going to wait.
Right.
Yeah, mine is practical jokers, so I don't think that applies.
Mine is I've killed before. I don't think we're killing right now.
Okay. Now, here's the other thing. You can spend a fatigue to use a second capability, meaning if there is another skill of yours that you think is going to be relevant, perhaps as a backup in case the plan goes wrong, you can actually mark a notch off of your fatigue to just kind of push yourself further.
Gotcha.
In fact, I think that's what they called it in Blades in the Dark, was pushing yourself. Essentially having that capability at the ready.
Got it.
And so you'll have that to add to your dice pool if you want to spend that.
Okay.
You can also spend trust between each other to ask a team member to essentially assist you in your action in the game. Now, that team member has to be participating in the contest, but when you spend trust, you can ask for one of the following. Number 1, bolster you. Your companion describes how they assist your action in a contest and gives you a copy of their name die. You can ask them to block harm for you if they say how they defend or support you and the harm is avoided. So, say, Corey, you can ask Todd to block harm for you.
Right.
And when you fail, instead of taking an injury, he can describe some way how he saves you from it.
Like if he notices a goose coming at high speeds towards my face, he can and dive in front of.
I stick my face in front of his to take shock absorption.
It's goose resistant now.
Yeah.
It is.
It's got goose callus.
Follow your lead. You can spend trust with the leader of the team to sway them to your idea or plan, which is not really relevant here.
Right. I mean, I think for the first roll of the game, we could just kind of go straight forward with this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the only other thing to note here is that Abthorpe has the trait absolute authority. This means that when he is surrounded by his vast alliance, any contest against him becomes dangerous. Anytime you bring out a weapons acquisition to assist you in a contest, it immediately becomes dangerous. What that means is that if you fail a roll, instead of marking fatigue, it automatically goes to injury.
Okay.
All right, so everybody's got their D6 and their D8, essentially.
Yep.
Anybody going to spend a fatigue to add a second capability?
I'm going to spend a fatigue to add deathmatch
Okay.
because I will kill for my new friends.
All right, so target number is 12.
Okay, I got a 1 on my D6 and a 6 on my D8.
I rolled a 7 and a 4.
6.
So rolling underneath the target number means your competitor fails, obviously. Their action goes awry or they have to endure a setback. So you all mark 1 fatigue.
Okay.
So essentially what's going to happen, your plan was to deceive Abthorpe to believe that you are going to join his alliance and then to somehow make your escape, hopefully gathering resources along the way. Obviously, that's not going to work out, but we're going to find out how next time.
I really thought it was a can't fail plan.
Right?
Yeah, well.
Rolling the minimal number of dice against a small army with
Well,
the 3 of us.
Weird.
By the way, friends, if we die, I just want you to know that I have ice cream nicknames for both of you.
Oh.
Morgan, you are mint, cause green.
Makes sense.
And Lincoln, you are moose tracks.
Ah. I don't want to know how you put that together for me.
The tires make tracks.
I see.
Next time we will narrate how this scene goes down. I did look that up from sharing your name with each other, and that is correct. You do get a standard D6 for your roll. So just for color, everybody roll one more D6.
2.
6.
1.
Okay, not enough to make a difference this time around, but we are going to make sure that you're rolling the correct number of dice in your pool. Cool. So everybody still will fall under it, but that'll be something for us to remember, is that you also are going to integrate that D6 for your name as well as your occupation anytime you're building your dice pool.
Gotcha. Okay.
I thought there'd be a lot less geese.
I mean, we introduce a lot of birds into our games. You should have expected
We've got a
it.
big thing for waterfowl.
What is that about?
We're stupid men.
Kyle, you act like there's a plan.
We're
Searching.
giant fucking fools who started a program and thought, here's what people want to hear.
Yeah. Waterfowl related humor.
Yes.
And somehow we were right.
Yeah.
It's just the only two, I guess. It's really ducks and geese.
People don't know what they want.
Yeah. We do mention seagulls occasionally.
Yeah.
Not so much pelicans.
Well,
You know what's fun to throw at geese? Dice.
Oh, I thought,
Hey.
I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say faces.
Especially dice from NorseFoundry.com. Go to NorseFoundry.com, pick out your dice and your merch, and when you go to the checkout, here's what you do. You type in CHAM. That is CHAM. CHAM gets you the 10% Bastard Quest discount at NorseFoundry.com. We'd also like to thank our sponsor, Barrel and Bond, 100 Broadway Street in beautiful downtown Paducah, right there on the banks on the now swollen to flood stage Ohio River.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's like a great beast reaching up from the depths of the earth to crush our fair metropolis.
But no, deathmatch, it's fun. I like it. I think once we get into like the swing of it and, we're all familiar with the mechanics and whatnot, I think it's good. I like it.
The world is ripe for a role-playing game. Like the Battle Royale / Hunger Games. It's a cool setting.
Mm-hmm. I feel like next time we'll be able to fail much more quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I think you'll see very quickly as we hit more and more contests the importance of gathering resources and having acquisitions to add to your dice pool and spending that fatigue to really kind of push yourself and give yourself as many dice as possible every time.
Because we have nothing. A letter.
Yeah.
Plum
and a
shirts.
polo.
Polos.
Yeah.
And full transparency, on that first roll there, I messed up that rule a little bit about the name dice, and it's lucky that we caught it and were able to still roll it. It didn't change the result this time around, but there may be other spots like that where we figure out, hey, there are other ways to make sure that I am operating at full capacity. But the general mechanic I'm really excited about. It's still a little early in the game to kind of see how it actually works and to see how much we like it, but
Yeah, General Mechanic was my favorite historical character from the Oil Change Wars.
And as always, thanks to all of you who listen. Thanks to all of you who follow us. As we saw in this game, followers are very important, and we love you. We appreciate you. Thanks to all our patrons whose sponsorship facilitated us being able to play this game.
Yep.
And if you're not a patron, you ought to check it out because you can see a session 0 for us to create these characters.
Yep.
See how this bullshit starts.
Yep. And you can get access to our Discord where they just started a book club.
That's right.
That's right.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. No consensus on what book we're reading first.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure if it's going to culminate in the exact way most book clubs work. It's great for recommendations.
I'm going to suggest the Bible.
Yeah. They need it.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. I'm Kyle.
I'm Todd.
Corey.
Austin.